Welcome back, Arch City PLO members and YouTube subscribers. The reason you YouTube subscribers are getting another free site video this month is I wanted to show you the new addition that I've added for you site members. If you're seeing this video for the first time, under the recorded session section of the site, this is the database review. Basically for PLO, I'm going to pull probably about 3 to 5 hands at a time and going to go through them one by one, basically just doing review and giving you guys high quality analysis. So I think you YouTube subscribers, you're going to enjoy this, but let's go ahead and get started. So all 3 of these hands are from PLO 100, or essentially 50 cent $1, and it's going to be hero on the button 3-betting against a cutoff open. This could be a very common scenario that you run into in PLO. You run into it no limit as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look. There's going to be a limper cutoff starting with about 95 bigs. He decides to go ahead and raise. This is going to be slightly loose. It's not terrible. I would rather play this hand heads up, but I would also rather it be double suited. So for you guys that are, just getting started with PLO, if you've never played before and you're a no limit player that's interested, the rundowns, you might hear about them. They're nice, but generally these middling to lower ranking rundowns are going to be a little overrated, especially in these types of games where you are going to end up multi-way more often than not. You're just going to be dominated by better rundowns too often. So you really do want to be double suited if you're getting involved with these lower ranking rundowns. But to discourage multi-way action, I think if I don't fold, if I have a read that I have a post-flop skill advantage, if I feel like this player is overly loose, then I do think it's actually a good spot to exploitively go ahead and 3-bet. A few folds, cutoffs are going to decide to go ahead and call. So SPR is about 2, a little bit over 2. And with my actual combo, looking at it from an exploitive perspective, I actually think it's a really good spot to check back. I have the board completely locked down. I have the 2 pairs for the redraw. So it's a situation where I really don't need a lot of protection. I also don't really represent this board that well. It'd be nice to be able to balance at least a little bit for when I do have some aces or other hands that I think I want to check back with here. Like I don't want to bet here and get shoved on when I have kind of middling equity. So when I have the board completely locked down, don't really need protection, think it is a solid spot to go ahead and check back actually. It'll work well in theory, but in practice you'll get these guys to actually stab a lot here as they can rep a lot of 2 pairs, can rep sets, straights, make aces feel really uncomfortable. So he does decide to go ahead and half pot it. Now that a spades come and the fact that there can be better straights that could come in on the river, it's a good spot to go ahead and commit. I just need protection. I can get value at this point. And if he was bluffing, it's good that I check back the flop, because if I bet flop, he's probably just folding that type of hand. So I've gained basically an extra 17 bigs here no matter what. He does decide to go ahead and commit though. Not a great river. I do think they're going to have a lot of semi-bluffs that had spades in them, but he did have top 2 of spades. Can't really fault him for that. His pre-flop play is slightly loose, but in PLO, the equities are going to run a little bit closer together, so it's not going to be a complete disaster. But I do think I played the hand well. We'll move on to the next hand. So this time, decide to 3-bet with the King, Jack, 10-10 double. Generally, if you don't have aces, you'll want to have an ace in your hand when you're 3-betting in position. This hand will play pretty well in position no matter what. The thing is, I probably had to read this player was overly loose. Most of these guys I remember in this population were, in fact, very loose. So it made sense to try to 3-bet. Get them involved in a bloated pot heads up. It's going to be a lot easier to win pots that way instead of having to deal with all the multi-way action. So I do go ahead and 3-bet. I think it's reasonable if I do think he is really loose. He does go ahead and call. SPR is going to be a little bit over 3. He decides to check. So with top pair and a flush draw, generally that hand does need a little bit of protection. I do think a lot of potting is going to be correct on a board that is somewhat dynamic. There is an argument having the backdoor spades, having the 2 10s. Those give me a little bit more playability on future streets because of there being more runouts that I'm not really afraid of or that benefit me. There is an argument that I could size down because of that. Generally in this spot, if you have strong hands that have really good playability on future streets, a lot of times that is going to be in the form of redraws, backdoor draws, then you are able to size down a little bit. But if you need a little bit more protection, If you maybe lack a little more playability and you just want to protect your equity right now, then you'll want to go ahead and size up. I actually think this is a better candidate for sizing up because generally when you have a pocket pair in your hand, you do lose a little bit of playability with those. Like if I had King Jack 10-9, that obviously would be a lot more playable. It would just be a better hand. I wouldn't feel that badly about sizing down and encouraging him to continue with similar types of hands that I actually have dominated. But when I unblock the Ace of Hearts here, I think the Naked Nut Flush Draw is the type of hand that he could shove with. So for that reason, I think this is a good spot to go ahead and pot it. I decided to go with half pot. Like I said, that's not bad, but I think I can do a little bit better here. So I do half pot it. He decides to commit. I am committed at this point with top pair, the flush draw, the back doors that I have. There's nowhere I can really go with this hand. He could be involved with worse hands for sure. So we go ahead and get it in. This is the nice thing about backdoor draws. They're worth quite a bit in PLO. And yeah, that hand's going to pretty much play itself out for the most part. So win a nice one there. We'll go ahead and move on to the next pot. I actually don't remember if I win all of these or not. I hope I did, but cut off decides to go ahead and raise, trying to isolate potentially the under the gun limper. These double suited, semi-connected middling hands like this, they're going to be really good 3-bet candidates. The reason that we don't really want to call with a ton of these, your suits are going to be usually dominated multi-way post-flop if we are in a single raise pot. If I do flop hands like 2 pairs, top pair, that hand's not as strong a lot of the times. Like I'm going to have a lot of marginal combo draws. This hand is going to play a lot better heads up, though. My club flush or my club flush draw, for example, that's going to be a lot more nutty and a lot more visible, a lot more live when I'm heads up compared to multiple ways where I'm not really sure where I stand with those. So these hands in general, they make for really good 3-bet candidates. The nice thing about them is if you do get 4-bet and you know that generally your opponent is pretty much going to almost always have ace-ace, this hand's going to play very well against that kind of range in a 4-bet pot as well. So go ahead and 3-bet, discourage all the multi-way action. That's great. And we get a call. Now, it's an interesting scenario. The SPR is only about 2. A lot of players will overestimate the value of this hand with an SPR of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, especially getting up into closer to that 10 range. For you guys that are no limit enthusiasts, you don't really play a lot of PLO, you would think that a pair, a flush draw, and a gutter is going to be really strong at this point. The problem is a lot of the hands that are similar that he shoves with are dominating me. And if he's not dominating me with those kinds of hands, then otherwise he probably has like a lot of king-queen, king-7, potentially queen-7. So it's not a great scenario. If the SPR were a little bit higher, I think I'd have to be really careful. At this point, you could honestly consider doing some folding, believe it or not, just because you're just in a really tough situation with this hand. However, when the SPR is quite a bit lower, they're going to commit a lot wider. He could have a hand like King Jack 10 without the spades here. He could have potentially just the naked nut flush draw, and he's trying to take advantage of maybe a little bit of fold equity. I have just enough hand that I think I have to go with it. It's not a great scenario, but I do think that I am profitable to get it in here. So he does end up having top 2. I get lucky with the spade run out. But yeah, I think for you Arch Seated PLO members, these database reviews are going to be really nice. We're going to get to take a look at one common spot, take a look at a few hands in that spot, and I think that'll help you guys out quite a bit for you YouTube subscribers. I hope you guys, if you are looking to improve, training sites can definitely help with that. Come on over, take a look. If you have any questions, you can email me or ask me in the comment section on the YouTube page there. But I do think for you guys that are looking to take the next step in either No Limit or PLO, this site's going to be able to help you quite a bit. We're going to be looking at things from a theoretical perspective, but we're going to keep it pretty simple, and we're going to do a lot of, we're going to pull off a lot of exploitative plays. We're going to play aggressively. We're going to think outside the box, and we're really going to attack our opponents and have more fun and hopefully make more. So if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.